What is up guys, Jarv here, back today jumping into Destiny. In today's video we're going to show you how you can get your hands on the Wishkeeper exotic bow entirely solo. You can do this on any class, use a wide range of weapons, so we're going to break down the mission and show you the best strategies and cheese spots to get this mission done. So be sure to stick around and enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a comment and rating down below, and remember to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. Now first things first, you need to gain access to the Starborn exotic mission. In order to do this, you need to be fully up to date on the Wishing You All the Best, which is the main seasonal quest for Season of the Wish. As of the making of this video, we are in week 4, so you will need to get up to date and complete the Apotheosis mission. And upon concluding that mission, you'll need to speak to Crow, and he will invite you back to the Black Garden as part of the Starcrossed mission. Now when loading up the mission, there are a variety of surges that will be available, so be sure to lean into those to ensure you can do maximum damage. And throughout the mission you'll see plenty of void and some arc shields, so make sure you have your weapons set up accordingly. I'm running a Riptide fusion rifle for stasis, a void auto rifle which will make short work of all the void shields, and Thunderlord, which is an incredibly strong arc machine gun, which also removes the possibility of me taking myself out with a rocket throughout the course of the mission. That being said though, rockets are incredibly strong this season. There's even artifact mods that help elevate their damage, so if you feel rockets are better suited for you, then feel free to switch it up and provide any recommendations down in the comments below. Now when you first start up the mission, you'll load into Overland over in the Black Garden. This is very reminiscent of the Garden of Salvation, which also takes place in the Black Garden, and you'll need to shoot various plants to open their buds to allow you to progress through the opening jump section. There aren't too many combatants here, only towards the end, but there is a secret chest, and we'll be making a video covering all the chest locations for this particular mission later in the season, so be sure to keep your peepers peeled for that and stay stuck to the channel. Now once you make your way through, you'll need to approach the structure, and you'll see a symbol from the Last Wish raid over in the distance. There's also a pool of light which will give you Sire's obligation, and this will allow you to deal damage to the phalanx, and you'll need to take them out in order to progress through the portal. This is in fact teaching us the opening mechanics to this mission, which will continue to evolve as we work our way through and help us complete each and every encounter. Now once we move through, this will bring us to the opening encounter, and we'll need to open the following gateway. Much like with the previous phalanx, we now have 3 individual phalanxes, and we need to identify them with each of their symbols and defeat them in the correct order in order to open the gateway. Now once again, you'll need to get the Sire's obligation buff, which will allow you to deal damage to the phalanxes. In here though, there are plenty of taken combatants, so be sure to focus on things like the Vandals and eventually Hobgoblins, which pose a significant threat from distance, and in later phases, even Cyclopses. Now as you can see, Stasis makes short work of pinning down all the combatants, freezing the phalanxes, and Thunderlord is a very powerful weapon, not just for taking out the phalanxes themselves, but also any other combatants that may be posing significant risks from distance. Now a thing to bear in mind is by taking out the Cyclopses and the Vandals, they will not respawn. So if you are finding yourself getting overwhelmed by combatants in this particular arena, be sure to clear out the ads first, as the respawns are very minimal and make later phases of this fight, especially for the 3rd and final key, so much easier. Now you will need to refresh Sire's obligation between phases, as the timer will likely run out. But once you've taken out all 3 phalanxes in the correct order, this will complete the opening phase of this encounter. And once you complete that phase, this will introduce you to the next buff. This is called Dam's Gift, and this buff will allow you to traversal through these sections without taking any damage. If you don't have Dam's Gift, you will progressively take damage similar to when you're in the blind well. Now we need to interact with 3 paracausal mechanisms which create a key to unlock the portal to the next area of the Black Garden. Now once clearing the opening ads, you can refresh the Dam's Gift buff. Now once this has been refreshed, I like to start on the opening section on the left hand side. There's a small crack in the wall, and inside you're right next to the paracausal mechanism. There's only a few goblins to jump down to. Once again, this is where stasis is incredibly useful, as you can freeze that target, helping you control the engagement. And if you find yourself in a sticky situation, the Shadebinder super on the Warlock is incredibly powerful. Make short work of any Wyvern in any encounter. Now once you defeat the Wyvern, this will remove the shield protecting the paracausal mechanism, and we'll be able to engage with it to trigger the first symbol in the sequence. Upon concluding that though, we'll need 2 further entries, and instead of jumping back through the hole to the main arena, we can in fact work ourselves around, and by taking out a few Vex, there's another Dam's Gift pool that we can use to engage with another Wyvern, which will allow us to trigger our second paracausal mechanism and help cut a significant amount of time off this encounter. And once the second entry has been completed, you can head back to the main arena to refresh Dam's Gift, and you'll find the third and final mechanism in the far side of the arena. Here you'll find the mechanism on the far side of the room, right next to another Wyvern, and there'll be many Minotaurs and Goblins in this room. Now throwing a stasis turret will pin the Wyvern in position, and things like the Riptide make short work of any Minotaurs that choose to rush you, allowing you to focus on the lower tier combatants with your auto rifle. And once the arena is clear, you'll be free to either use your super or your Thunderlord in order to easily take out the Wyvern. And upon concluding the third and final entry, this will complete the mechanism and unlock the key to the portal, allowing us to progress to the next phase of the mission. Now before we can enter the portal, you'll first need to eliminate all the Vex defending it. Here there is yet another Wyvern, as well as a giant Minotaur called the Covetous Mind. Now a few combatants to focus on first would be the Hobgoblins on the cliffside on the back left side of the arena. These can pose a significant threat. And if you are running a stasis subclass, then be sure to use your super first to immediately take out the Wyvern. This will make the encounter so much easier, as the Covetous Mind doesn't really push you, so once you clear out all the combatants, you'll be able to bait the Covetous Mind using the Vex architecture here, which will provide excellent cover for you, and you'll be able to use this in combination with your stasis turrets to pin the target down and alternate between the left and right side of this pillar to deal damage, whether that be with Thunderlord or a rocket launcher or even a linear fusion rifle. But once defeating all the combatants in this area and eliminating all the Vex, you'll be entirely free to finally enter the portal. Now in this next section we have a small jump puzzle. There's a few very narrow ledges. None of the ledges actually move, but there are various mechanisms that do move and can push you off if you're not very careful. I highly recommend going as slowly as possible, and if you are using a Warlock, then Strafe Glide gives you more maneuverability in the air, and if you want even more safety, then I recommend switching to a Strand subclass and ensuring you have your grapple up most of the time. This will help save you if you do find yourself getting knocked off, especially if you're going for that flawless run. Now all the mechanisms are also on timers, so it's easy to predict when things will change, allowing you to time your jumps as you progress your way through the puzzle. This puzzle is not very long, but it can be very tricky and will likely bring an end to many flawless attempts if you're trying to get that triumph. Now once you make your way through the jump puzzle, this will bring you onto the penultimate fight in this mission, and here we need to deactivate the barrier. This is very similar to the very first major encounter, which saw us have to locate 3 symbols and take out the phalanxes in order to complete the lock. Now unlike in that encounter though, there are in fact 2 buffs at play here. You have Sire's Obligation and also Dam's Gift. You will need at least Sire's Obligation to deal damage to the phalanxes, but if you want to make this encounter as easy as possible, you can in fact combine them by collecting one of each buff, and this will give you a new buff called Crowned by Dragons. This allows you to enter the damage dealing areas without taking damage, whilst also being able to deal damage to the phalanxes. You can refresh this combination just by entering any of the other pools, so it's very easy to refresh it and will quickly allow you to go from room to room when completing the key sequence. Now as I said, you can enter some of the damage dealing zones without the combined buff, so if you are on a Warlock like I was, then things like a Rift can keep you alive. It's a high risk strategy though, and I do highly recommend getting both buffs together to get the Crowned by Dragons buff instead, allowing you to focus on the combatants and less about the environment itself. Now whilst you do have to combine buffs, this encounter is in fact easier in my opinion than the opening encounter, as there are very few combatants that pose significant threats. But as before, once you complete all 3 sequences, this will deactivate the barrier and bring you onto the final boss of this mission. Now the final boss is Akodon the Pitiless Mind, a huge Hydra. Again, you'll need to get the Crowned by Dragons buff, and you'll find 2 pools immediately below you as you drop into the arena. Now in this arena is a combination of Vex and Taken, and if you get hit by some of the Vex darts, these can in fact contain you. So make sure to have your fusion rifle ready, which can release you from containment in a single round. Now normally you would need to enter the arena. There are various phalanxes also in here to make it more difficult when it comes to refreshing your buff. But in fact, the best place to stand in this entire fight is immediately after you drop in. Not only are there 2 pools right next to each other to allow you to refresh the Crowned by Dragons buff, you can in fact jump up and stand on this ledge and shoot directly through the window above. And this is a great cheese spot as you can deal great damage whilst not taking full damage from all the combatants outside. There are various phases where Acrodon will move around the arena, so you may need to relocate slightly, or if you do run out of ammo, you can use your Shadebinder super, which provides excellent protection to wander out into the wild to collect any additional bricks that may be on offer. This particular spot trivializes the final boss, makes it incredibly easy, so as long as you're patient, then pretty much anyone can defeat this boss once they get to this point. It's really just a matter of time, and once you take them out successfully, you would have completed the Starcrossed mission and got your hands on the Wishkeeper exotic bow. So there we have it, guys, a good look on how you can get your hands on the Wishkeeper exotic bow entirely solo. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to check out one of the 2 videos you see here in these cards for more Destiny 2 content. And if you want to keep up to date with everything to do with Destiny 2, then be sure to hit subscribe as well. I'm going to jump into the game as always, guys, and I will catch you all again very soon.